Yeah, I ain't choose the game chose me. I'm a champion, I need some trophy. I can draw the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it deep. I ain't choose the game chose me. I'm a champion, I need some trophy. I can draw the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it.
With Isaiah Leung and Ben Curse, my name is Loro Antonio. I hope everybody's had a good night. And fellas, how are you guys doing?
Doing well, Lauro and Ben. Good to see you guys. You know, I'm ecstatic, ready for this show, man. If the last couple of days come true in terms of all the news and potential possibilities, man, this could be one of the best off seasons we've seen in a very, very long time. So I'm looking forward to it, man. NFL free agency starts in, I think, 4 or 5 days. So looking forward to it. And yeah, I can't wait to see where everybody goes and see all the trades that could go down. Aaron Rodgers, Derrick Henry, you name it. And I'm definitely going to keep an eye also on what's going on in Cincy, because if that potentially breaks, then, that's another team that all hell could break loose. So looking forward to the show. And fellas, I got my new graphic tee up for tonight, the Run CMC shirt representing the Niners for tonight. So I'm ready. Let's go.
What about you, Ben? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I just want to say thank you, Isaiah, for joining me the other night on Kicking It with Cruz. I'm doing well, specifically myself. Can't wait for next week. I actually get to watch some live baseball right now, which is great with the World Baseball Classic, so I can't complain about that. And so, yeah, I'm doing well. Great to be on, and looking forward to next week.
And then, anyways, here with that being said, as now let's start with our free agency prediction game. First up, we talk about Lamar Jackson, who just received the non-exclusive franchise tag. And my prediction is that Lamar Jackson is going to get traded to the Atlanta Falcons, and the Ravens will receive multiple first-round picks in return. So Isaiah, that's my prediction. Lamar Jackson goes to the Falcons. What about you?
This is a tricky one, because after Lamar got the franchise tag yesterday, there were like 4 to 5 teams that immediately said they don't have interest in Lamar Jackson. And I think that there's at least 3 or 4 of those teams are lying. I think that you have four teams out of those 5 that are not telling the truth and that they're bluffing because they don't want to upset their current starter at the quarterback position. So I think where Lamar ends up going is, I do think he leaves Baltimore because, like I've said from the beginning, I think Stetson Bennett will be the Baltimore Ravens starting quarterback come week 1 of 2023. So I think where Lamar goes is, I think Lamar goes to the Atlanta Falcons, like you mentioned, Loro. I don't believe and I don't buy what the Falcons said, that they're not going to be interested in Lamar Jackson. I think they're absolutely bluffing right now. You have Desmond Ridder as your quarterback. You have a coach in Arthur Smith who loves to run the football. Lamar is perfect for this offensive scheme. You have a lot of cap space. You could fit his contract in. And you also have a lot of draft picks as well, which you can use to make it happen. So I got him going to the Falcons. I think the Falcons are straight up lying right now, and I think that the Falcons will eventually turn around and go and get Lamar Jackson. I don't buy whatsoever that they're not interested. I got him going to the Falcons, and imagine him with Drake London and Kyle Pitts and the beast young running back that they had. I mean, that's going to be a great football team, especially on offense. They just need to fix that defense a little bit, but that offense will be amazing with Lamar Jackson.
And what about you, Ben? Where do you have Lamar Jackson going to?
Yeah, I got Atlanta. I do feel like there is because all these reporters and stuff I trust and stuff like that, but I think it's a lot of just clickbait BS type of stuff at the end of the day. Specifically, Desmond Ritter, I get it. He's a young kid, but they have a lot. There's a lot of other teams specifically that I think that are just kind of holding it together and kind of having like their ready guys, to come to play. I don't think Atlanta has a specific plan. I think that I also saw that they were freeing up more cap space on top of the amount of cap space they already have. So why are you doing that? What's the point of doing that specifically? So I know today, I know it's talking about Aaron Rodgers, but there was a little bit of restructuring cap space from CJ Uzama's contract today, and everybody is now saying, well, what's that now to come? So, you know, when there's smoke, there's fire. And, specifically with Lamar Jackson's camp, I think specifically, something's going to work out. And I think Kyle Pitts, and that offense specifically with Arthur Smith, I don't see Lamar Jackson passing up this opportunity. He could go down south where he's, be able to train and stuff like that. I'd still be really surprised if he went back to Baltimore. I still think there's a lot of turmoil over there. And I felt like they would have had a long-term deal done at this point in time now, with all their offseason they had, and they haven't gotten anything done. So I think that the Falcons still are my logical fit, for Lamar Jackson.
All right. With that being said here, folks, now next up we go to Jimmy Garoppolo. There's a lot of rumblings that he'll be a Houston Texan so that he can be the bridge quarterback to whoever the Texans use with that second pick. I don't see him in Houston. I see Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Las Vegas Raiders and reuniting with Josh McDaniels. But if he goes to Houston, I won't be shocked because he does have a connection with Nick Caserio. Go ahead, Isaiah.
For me, I got him going to a totally different destination. I got him going to the Carolina Panthers. I think that the Panthers, they need a veteran quarterback because they have a roster that's ready to compete right now. And then you could draft a quarterback like an Anthony Richardson or a Will Levis, and then you could have them be the bridge or you could have Jimmy Garoppolo be the bridge quarterback for 1 or 2 years while this young kid learns. And I think that Jimmy will benefit really well in Carolina because you have Frank Reich, who's a great quarterback guru, who can help Jimmy get back to what he was before his ACL injury. And Jimmy can show off and he can do great stuff there. And then he could be in line for a bigger contract after he departs Carolina, when it's Will Levis or Anthony Richardson or CJ Stroud's turn to come in. So I think that Jimmy G to Carolina makes a lot of sense. And then for the Panthers, they can win right now, and also you can have your young quarterback sit and develop. And then for Jimmy, you can ball out there, fix your mechanics, and then after that, you can go on and get a bigger contract somewhere else. So I got him going to the Panthers.
What about you, Ben?
I got him going to Vegas. I still think that that's the most logical. There's rumblings from Ian Rappaport that the three teams right now in Jimmy's camp are the Texans, the Panthers, and the Raiders. And so when I look at the Panthers specifically, I think they're going to go to be in the drafts, whether it's Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. So I think that cuts out an option, even though I could really see that happening. And then the Texans, I think they're going to go with Bryce Young. I think that's kind of the most logical fit there. So you take those out. I think that Jimmy G with the Raiders, it just makes so logically the most sense specifically. You have all the weapons there. You brought Josh Jacobs back on the franchise tag. You have Josh McDaniels, who is a guy that's been with Jimmy Garoppolo in the past. So I think with all that being said, Jimmy Garoppolo just has to be a game manager for, Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller and guys like that. I think he could be able to handle that specifically. So I think that Jimmy G is going to go to the Las Vegas Raiders by next week.
Anyways, now with that being said here, Now we talk about Javon Hargraves. I think this is an easy choice for me. I think he stays as a Philadelphia Eagle.
For me, I got him going to the Bears. He's gonna be one of the highest paid defensive linemen out there this market, and he's gonna get a lot of interest. And the Bears need to fix their defense. And Matt Eberflus is itching to get more talent there, especially on the defensive side, because he's a defensive guru. And for the Bears, it starts with that defensive line. It starts up front, and Javon Hargraves is an absolute monster in the middle of that defensive line. The Bears know they need to get to the quarterback. Hargraves, he's 30 years of age right now. He's going to be in line for a massive payday. And, after what he did last year, he deserves it. He had 11 sacks last year, 23 assisted tackles, 60 total tackles. He was just a monster for the Eagles. And he's going to get that monster payday. And I think that for the Bears, getting a veteran defensive lineman on the in the middle of that defensive line, and then you can add a couple pass rushers to the left and the right. That would be a great start to rebuilding this defensive line.
And then and then Ben, where do you think Javon Hargraves goes?
I got him going to the Cleveland Browns. I think that the Cleveland Browns really need some help on the interior defense, and I think outside of the Bears, I think that the Browns really fit Javon Hargraves. You put him in that middle alongside, guys like, I think Sheldon Richardson might be there. I'm not specifically sure, but I know Myles Garrett's on the outside, and Jadeveon Clowney's on the outside as well. Hargraves is just a really good player, and I think that defensive line, interior help, he's going to get a big market from a team. I think Cleveland's going to be the team that will get him.
Anyways, now with that being said, here we will go to Orlando Brown. And I think Orlando Brown, despite not getting the franchise tag, I think he stays in Kansas City. He's a guy that I think is going to protect Patrick Mahomes' blind side. Isaiah, where do you think he goes?
I think he goes to the Atlanta Falcons to protect Lamar Jackson and to replace Caleb McGarry and give Lamar Jackson a sure left tackle to protect him. The Falcons, I think they're going to get their franchise quarterback in Lamar Jackson. You need to keep him healthy because you're going to pay him a lot of money, and you need him to stay healthy and produce. And Orlando Brown's one of the top tackles, offensive tackles on the market, and you got to shell out the money to protect your star quarterback. So I got him going to Atlanta. They have a lot of cap space right now. McGarry's departing as he's a free agent right now. He most likely will depart. So why not go after one of the best tackles on the market to protect your franchise quarterback? So I got him going to the ATL.
What about you, Ben? Where do you have Orlando Brown going to?
I got him going to the Chicago Bears. I think that the Bears really need help on that offensive line to protect Justin Fields. They now know that Justin Fields is the guy long-term in Chicago. So you have to get that guy to help him offensively on the line. And I think Orlando Brown, one of the top offensive linemen, with a lot of the cap space that the Bears have, I wouldn't rule out them going hard after one of the top guys on the market, and that's Orlando Brown Jr.
Next up, we talk about Bobby Wagner. And now, I mean, his tenure didn't work out in LA. How about this? He goes back to the Seattle Seahawks with a reunion with Pete Carroll and them. What about you, Isaiah? Where do you have Bobby Wagner going to?
So before the show, I promised all of you guys there's going to be fireworks exploding out of the sky tonight. And there's going to be a lot of fireworks on this show. And here's the first one. You guys ready for this? I got Bobby Wagner staying in the NFC West, going twice a year against both the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. I got Bobby Wagner going to San Francisco to replace Azeez Al-Shaair and to form an amazing three-headed monster at linebacker with Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw and Bobby Wagner, 3 linebackers in that middle of the field. Oh my God, man. And add to one of the scariest defenses in the NFL. Bobby Wagner had interest in joining San Francisco last year. The Niners had interest in getting Bobby Wagner last year. It just didn't work out because he wanted to go home to LA and play for the Los Angeles Rams. But now with the Rams, with him leaving the Rams, he still is pissed off at Seattle. He wants to go at them again. I just think it's a perfect fit because he knows the Niners defense.
Eric.
The Niners run basically the defense that
Where
the
were you?
Seahawks ran. You good, Lauro? But yeah, I got Bobby Wagner going to the Niners. I think it's perfect fit.
Was that Eric?
I got Bobby Wagner going to
What were you doing there?
to the 49ers, and I think
how was it?
When you think about the 49ers, I think that it's going to be a great fit for them, and I think that for Bobby Wagner having a chance to compete for a championship in the latter parts of his career makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for me, I got Bobby Wagner going to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to be planning to lose a lot of guys in their defense, and I think that he for sure would really help the Philadelphia Eagles, at least in their linebacking crew. I know Brandon Graham will probably be moving on. Fletcher Cox, Hargrave, Gardner Johnson, that defensive backside. So Bobby Wagner would be a great piece to help out over in Philadelphia.
All right. Before we get to our next free agent, let's go to some of our comments. We have a lot of comments that flooded in while we were talking about some of these free agents. Chardot says, I also agree that Lamar Jackson will get traded to the Atlanta Falcons. As far as Jimmy Garoppolo is concerned, Chardot has Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Miami Dolphins and I guess replacing Tua Tagovailoa, which there has been reports that the Miami Dolphins are potentially looking for a new quarterback given Tua's health concerns. Casey King says, good evening, guys, from Colorado. Good evening to you, Casey. Hope you are enjoying the Mile High City. Casey says, Jimmy G, I have him going to the Raiders as well to reunite with Josh McDaniels. Chardot says, Javon Hargraves will stay with the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know if they have the money, though, to be able to give him that big-time contract, but we'll see. Chardot also says, I think Orlando Brown Jr. will get traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. And then Casey says, I have Orlando Brown Jr. going to the Chicago Bears as well to protect Justin Fields. Chardot, for Bobby Wagner, he's got him going to the 49ers. And then as far as Casey for Bobby Wagner, he says Bobby Wagner's not going to go to the Niners. I see him going to Philadelphia. But to our fans out there, feel free to, flood our comment section with where you guys think the free agents that we're talking about are all going to land, and we'll be happy to read it on the program tonight. Let's go to our next free agent. It is Juju Smith-Schuster, the wide receiver from the Kansas City Chiefs, had a resurgent year this past season with the Chiefs, won a Super Bowl with Kansas City. Ben, I'll start with you first on this. Where do you think Juju ends up?
I see him going back to Kansas City. I think that Kansas City really values Juju Smith-Schuster a lot. I probably think, 2 to 3 year type deal, right kind of in that market. I know that there will be some teams looking at Juju services, but I think he's going to stay.
All right. For me, I'm actually going to go with a bit of a surprise. I got him going to the Bengals. And the reason why is because there's a lot of uncertainty right now with that team, with all the stuff going on with, the stuff that broke tonight with Jamar Chase and then the Joe Mixon situation. You could potentially see the Bengals losing their top 2 playmakers. So I think that the Bengals will sign Juju Smith-Schuster as kind of like an insurance policy just in case something were to happen with Jamar Chase. And I think it also makes sense because, you got Joe Burrow throwing him the ball. If nothing happens with Chase, you could potentially have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Juju Smith-Schuster, and Tyler Boyd as well as just a fearsome four at the wide receiver position. So I got him going to the Bengals as like an insurance policy, but also if nothing happens to Jamar Chase, it could just add to an already loaded Cincinnati Bengals wide receiving corps. And then Chardol says he agrees with Ben. He's got Juju Smith-Schuster going or staying with the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's go to our next free agent. This is C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who had an outstanding year with the Philadelphia Eagles, winning a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. Ben, where do you think C.J. Gardner-Johnson lands this offseason?
So I think Denver needs really a lot of help on their defensive backside. Denver actually specifically last year defensively wasn't a bad unit, but I think they need some help in their coverage. I have C.J. Gardner-Johnson going to the Denver Broncos. I think that's a really good fit for him. I just think specifically, I just don't know. I really like that fit there. I mean, he's going to have a big market specifically. The AFC West, though, you have a lot of high-powered offenses. And so I really like this fit.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think I got C.J. Gardner-Johnson going to the Denver Broncos as well. You know, that connection with Sean Payton, him having played with or under Payton in New Orleans for a whole number of years. And then you're right. Denver needs a lot of help in the secondary. And then I think they need another corner opposite of Patrick Surtain to shut down opposing teams' offenses. And you add that to what Denver has, a really good defensive line. Their linebacking corps is very, very underrated. I think that would really complete their defense and make it one of the best defenses in the NFL. And I just think that he's going to have a lot of suitors, but I think that the connection with Sean Payton is just going to if it's going to be the thing that really takes Denver over the hump and ends up being the landing spot for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. But it looks like we have Loro back. So, Loro, I'm going to hand it back to you, man. Loro. Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, I was asking you what free agents did I miss out on so that I can give out some of my other predictions?
Yeah, so you missed out on Juju Smith-Schuster as well as C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That was about it.
Okay, so for Juju Smith-Schuster, I have him staying in Kansas City. I really think he found a home there. And for C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I have him going to the Denver Broncos and reuniting with Sean Payton.
Clean
and
sweep.
Now we talk.
Clean sweep.
And then for Miles Sanders, I don't think he's going to be back in Philadelphia. I think he's going to go to a team that needs a running back. I think he goes to, I would say, I would say Miles Sanders goes to the Arizona Cardinals. What about you, Isaiah?
Oh, wow. You're right. I don't think he's going to be back with the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a lot of free agents and they don't have a lot of money to give out to those free agents. So I'm looking at the teams that have a lot of salary cap right now. You start with the Bears, the Falcons, the Texans, then the Raiders are up there. And then you have the Bengals and the Cardinals, and then the Patriots and the Seahawks. For me, I think that you know what? I think he goes to the Tennessee Titans. And you know what that means? I think Derrick Henry will be traded by the Tennessee Titans. Miles Sanders, he's got less miles on his legs and he's younger than Derrick Henry. And it just makes a lot of sense. You know, if you're gonna rebuild, if you're gonna retool your team and you're gonna build for the future, go add a younger running back in Sanders to replace Henry, who's got a lot of miles on his legs, who's much older, he's got a lot of wear and tear on him. It just makes a lot of sense. I got Miles Sanders going to Tennessee to replace the traded Derrick Henry.
What about you, Ben? Where do you think you have Miles Sanders going to?
I got Miles Sanders going to the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, I think, just need that really good, effective running game. And I think specifically Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, I think they're decent. But you bring in a guy Miles Sanders caliber with Tyreek Hill, Tua, obviously Gesicki's probably going to be moving on. But Miles Sanders would give a lot to their overall offense. So I have him going to Miami for Mike McDaniel.
Isaiah, tell us who the next free agent we're going to talk about.
Yeah, the next free agent is going to be Jakobi Meyers, you and Ben's guy from the New England Patriots.
I'm going to say Jakobi Meyers leaves the New England Patriots. I think he's going to go to the I'm going to say he goes to the Raiders and reunites with Josh McDaniels.
Ooh.
What about you, Ben?
You'll be a little surprised about this one, but I do have him also leaving the Patriots. I have him going to the Houston Texans. The Nick Caserio connection. They need some help at receivers. Brandon Cooks could also be on the move, so we'll have to probably put his name out there if we don't have his name for this list. But yeah, I just really think that he's going to get paid high there. They're going to, Jakobi Meyers is going to be looked as a number one. He's going to overpaid, unfortunately. Specifically, I know that there's reports out that potentially if the Patriots, he wants to probably stay if the Patriots have the number. Unfortunately, I think that there's going to be a team to overpay. So I think he's going to moving on as much as I like Jakobi. If he stays, he stays. But I think specifically it might be better for the matter for him to move on and for us to try to get more outside fit wise. But he's had a great overall career, and I wouldn't be opposed to him coming back. But I have him leaving to go to the Houston Texans.
Anyways, here, Casey said he has Juju staying in Kansas City. CJ Gardner-Johnson, according to Chardot, he has him going to the Denver Broncos. He has Miles Sanders going to Dallas. And then Nathaniel McWirt says he's going to go Homer and that Miles Sanders will go to Denver. And then Chardot also says that Derrick Henry will remain a Tennessee Titan. So, Isaiah, you've already read about Odell Beckham Jr. and Dalton Schultz?
Not yet. Those are the two next free agents we'll talk about. But let me give you my prediction for Jakobi Meyers. I do think he leaves the Patriots because Belichick doesn't like shelling out large amount of money to wide receivers. So for me, this is gonna be another crazy one. I got him going to the Vikings because I think Adam Thielen's going to get cut. I think he's going to get cut. He's a cap casualty. So they're going to need a number two to replace Adam Thielen. Not Diggs, but you have Justin Jefferson there. So you need another number two to take the pressure off of Justin Jefferson. Go out and get Jakobi Meyers to help shore your wide receiving corps up. So I got him going to Minnesota and joining the former Patriot, Kevin O'Connell, in Minnesota.
And Ben, where do you have? And then anyways, now we go to Odell Beckham Jr. He missed the year with a torn ACL. Where do I have OBJ going to? I'm going to say he goes back to the LA Rams and runs it back there. What about you, Isaiah?
You guys ready for this?
Oh, boy.
It's going to be a homecoming, but it's not going to be in LA. It's going to be the New York Giants. Odell Beckham Jr. will go back to where he started his career in New York with the Giants. They just re-signed Daniel Jones to a big contract. They tagged Saquon Barkley. Kenny Golladay is gone now. They need a number one wide receiver, and I think Odell's fully recovered from the injuries that he suffered, and he's ready to go for next season. So I got him going back to New York. He's been hinting that he wants to go back to New York for quite some time now, and with the Giants' big needed wide receiver, it just makes a lot of sense for it to happen.
Anyways, now, what about you, Ben? Where does OBJ go to?
I have him going to Dallas to be alongside CeeDee Lamb. I think that Dallas really missed the opposing presence of CeeDee Lamb, and I know that Jerry Jones is really high on trying to get Odell Beckham with that team, and I think that there's still going to be some talks over this offseason. I think they come with a deal. I think that they're going to try to go after DeAndre Hopkins. They missed out on DeAndre Hopkins. I'll give you my team for DeAndre Hopkins. But I do think that Odell Beckham is going to go to Dallas and do a really good job over there.
Anyways, now, Chardol says he's going to be a New York Giant. I could see that, but now Dalton Schultz. Where do I have Dalton Schultz going to? I'm going to say the New York Giants. Like I said, I'm going to stick to that because Dalton Schultz, I think the Giants need a number one tight end, and I think he fits that mold. What about you, Isaiah?
This is a tough one because I don't really know a lot of teams that really need a tight end this year. So I'm trying to think right now. You have Miami, who's gonna most likely lose Mike Gesicki. Houston could need a tight end, to give their young quarterback a weapon to throw the football to. So for me, I'm actually going to go with Houston. I think the Houston Texans are going to give Dalton Schultz that big contract because they have a lot of cap space and give him that security blanket, give their young quarterback that security blanket that can protect him. And also when he's under pressure, that can, you can give him a surefire target. So I got Dalton Schultz getting that big contract with Houston and helping to rebuild that offense with their young quarterback, either Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and then, you have Bobby Slowick running the offense as offensive coordinator. And we know how big the tight end is in that Kyle Shanahan style offense that Bobby Slowick is going to bring this to Houston.
What about you, Ben? Where do you think Dalton Schultz goes to?
I'm going to go on a curveball. I'm going to go with the New York Jets. The New York Jets, I think, specifically could upgrade their tight end specific position. And I think that with, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, Michael Carter, a lot of their skilled guys, I think that the one position where they could really elevate to make their offense even more dynamic, I think, is the tight end position. So I'm going to go with Dalton Schultz to help out that and really help them become more dynamic, especially in the red zone.
And with that being said here now, Isaiah, tell us the next free agent.
The next free agent is offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey, formerly of my 49ers.
Where do I think he goes? I'm going to say Mike McGlinchey's a New England Patriot. Or, I'm sorry, New York Jet. Sorry, reuniting with Robert Saleh. What about you, Isaiah?
I'm going to stick with my prediction that I made when we predicted him on one of our extra point shows, I think a couple of weeks ago, and that is I got Mike McGlinchey going to low roll you and Ben's Patriots. You guys need to shore up the offensive line. Isaiah Wynn is a free agent. There's also a couple free agents on that offensive line. So you need to shore up that offensive line. Mac Jones was hit a ton last year. So Mike McGlinchey makes a lot of sense for the Patriots. He can be either your left tackle or your right tackle. And you need that protection for Mac Jones in order for him to even have a shot to succeed. So I got him going and getting a big contract with the Patriots.
And what about you, Ben? Where does Mike McGlinchey goes to?
You guys want to hear a crazy one? I got him going to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that Orlando Brown Jr. leaves. They replace him in Kansas City. And I think Mike McGlinchey, that offensive line there, Joe Thuney is there. I think that him in Kansas City would do wonders for him specifically. And for a lot of guys, I know Isaiah, that Mike McGlinchey's been having it rough here and there. No other better place to go than Kansas City to try to get somebody to get themselves back on track. So I got Mike McGlinchey going to Kansas City Chiefs.
Next up here, we will talk about the next name we'll talk about is, can you tell us, Isaiah?
Yep, it's Jesse Bates of the Bengals.
For Jesse Bates, I have him going to Atlanta. I don't think he's going to be back with Cincinnati.
This is a tough one because, there's a lot of players that are free agents on defense, and I don't think he's going to be back with Cincinnati as well. He's going to get a big time contract. So for me, you know what? I'm going to go with this. I think he goes to the Washington Commanders. They have a good chunk of money to spend this offseason. They do need to improve their defense, especially in the secondary. And Jesse Bates, I think he's going to get a big contract there. And Washington's going to load up on a lot of win now pieces because let's face it, Ron Rivera is on the hot seat next season. If he doesn't make the playoffs, I think he might be gone there in Washington. So I got him going to the Washington Commanders.
What about you, Ben? Where do you think he goes?
I got Jesse Bates going to the New England Patriots. I think that Devin McCourty will retire, and I think that Jesse Bates is the perfect guy in Bill Belichick's defense. That will be alongside guy and Kyle Duggar. And I think that they've really valued Jesse Bates, I think, from afar. This seems like a Bill Belichick type of move as it is, too. So I got Jesse Bates coming to the New England Patriots.
Next up, Isaiah, we got Jamal Williams. I have him staying in Detroit. I really think he's found a home in Detroit, and I think that's a good fit for him.
Ooh, this one's tough because there's a lot of good running backs here on the market. So for me, I think there's a good shot he could go back to Detroit, and you guys might think I'm crazy for this one. He's going to go to another NFC North team, but it's not going to be with the Detroit Lions. I got him going to Minnesota, and I think that both Alexander Mattison, he's a free agent, and Dalvin Cook will be gone this offseason. There's already rumors that Dalvin Cook could either be cut or he could be traded away. And, Jamal Williams, you need a running back to perform in that offense. And Jamal Williams balled out last year with at least 14 touchdowns. He was tremendous last year for the Lions. The Vikings got a good look at him. I do think they might be able to keep Madison, but you need that power back as well. So I got Jamal Williams going to Minnesota.
And what about you, Ben? Where do you have Jamal Williams going to?
I have him staying with the Detroit Lions. I think the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell are building a really strong foundation with some young talent and some young players. He was one of their top players from last year. I think they found a way to retain him.
So, anyways, here now. Next up, who did you say the next one is?
The next one is Caleb McGarry, the offensive tackle for the Falcons. Ooh.
I'm going to say he stays in Atlanta. I think that he can play I think you got to have the continuity here and all that. What about you, Isaiah?
You guys ready for this? I got to go to San Francisco to replace Mike McGlinchey. I think he's going to be cheaper than McGlinchey will be. The Niners need another tackle, especially on the right side. And he played for Kyle Shanahan when Shanahan was with the Atlanta Falcons. So it makes a lot of sense for him and also for the 49ers as well as Kyle Shanahan to shore up that offensive line. He's a really good, underrated young offensive tackle. And I think he's definitely, at this point, better than giving a big contract to McGlinchey. So I got him going to the Niners.
Anyways, now that being said, tell us, Isaiah, for Ben, where do you think Caleb McGarry goes?
Oh, I have Caleb McGarry going to the Patriots. I think that Trent Brown and Isaiah Wynn are big names to watch out for on the offseason. And so the Patriots are going to need some offensive line help. I think that they go one, the offensive line in the draft, and one in the free agency. And I'm going to go with Caleb McGarry.
And I have the Patriots getting an offensive tackle in the draft too. And Isaiah, tell us our next free agent.
Defensive end, Frank Clark, who just got released by the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh.
I would say don't be shocked if Frank Clark is a Niner. I think that he and Nick Bosa can be a good complement together. What about you, Isaiah?
I like the idea of Frank Clark going to the Niners, but and I'm going to spoil this. I actually got a different pass rusher going to the Niners, and it's a big name, and that is Khalil Mack. But we'll talk about him later on in the show. But for Frank Clark, ooh, this is a really, really tough one. He got released from the Chiefs, and like I said on kicking it with Cruz a couple days ago, it really depends. If he wants a big contract, then I don't really see a lot of teams that are going to give it to him because he's kind of getting up there in age, and he's not going to be able to contend if he ends up wanting that big of a contract. But if he is willing to take a kind of a pay cut and take like a 1-year deal to go to a contending team, then I could see the Niners in the mix. I could see Philadelphia in the mix for him. But for me, I'm gonna actually go with I think Frank Clark goes to the Patriots. The Patriots add a pass rusher on the defensive side. Frank Clark knows that, hey, my career might be coming to an end soon. I'm getting up there in age. I want to win more Super Bowls. So I think that he's going to go and take not a cheap contract, but a relatively cheap contract and go to New England to have a chance to win. So I got him going to the Patriots.
What about you, Ben? Where do you have Frank Clark going to?
I got Frank Clark on the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks need a lot of help on their defense, and they do a lot of things specifically via the pass rush. And I think Frank Clark would be a perfect fit in their scheme in Seattle, and I think that they're going to take a chance to sign Frank Clark.
Anyways, now with that being said, here now we will talk about Draymond Jones. I think he will stay a Denver Bronco, and I think that he will play for Sean Payton. What about you?
I got him staying in Denver too, because Sean Payton knows that, yeah, you could have a good offense, but without a great defense, you're not going to be able to win anything. So Draymond Jones was one of the big pieces to success for that Denver Broncos defense last year. And I think they're able to go over the cap to give him that big contract that he wants. So he is one of their top players on that defense. He's a guy that, is a great pass rusher. He really broke out last year for the Denver Broncos, and it makes too much sense for Denver to not keep him for the foreseeable future. So I got him going to the Denver Broncos, or staying in Denver.
Next up, we will talk about the next player we will talk about is
I haven't gone yet.
Sorry, Ben. Where do you think Draymond Jones goes to, Ben?
It's all good. I actually have him leaving. I'm going to Chicago Bears. I think that the Bears are going to add some interior help, defensive line help with all their cap money, and he's going to be another guy that they're going to pick up.
Well, next up, we talk about New England Patriots defensive back Jonathan Jones. I think he will remain a New England Patriot. I see it. I know, Ben, you see it. I know he wants to be there. What about you, Ben? Where do you have him going?
Yeah, I think that the Patriots are going to find a way to retain him. I would say about a 3 or 4 year type deal. Bill Belichick has spoken so highly of Jonathan Jones. I'll be really surprised. I guess you could see potentially a team out there with a ton of cap space, ton of money for a really good nickel corner. But I think the Patriots really value him hard. I think they find a way to keep him.
What about you, Isaiah? Where do you think Jonathan Jones goes to?
I think he goes to Seattle. Seattle has Trayvon. They have Diggs. They have Tariq Woolen, who did a really good job last year, his rookie year. But they know they need a lot of help on defense, especially the back end and especially the defensive line. So I think they fixed that back end of the defense by getting Jonathan Jones into that defense to have him opposite of either Woolen or Diggs and make that secondary even stronger, because they know that, hey, with all the quarterbacks that you have in the NFC West and the NFC, you got to build that defense back up. And I think Pete Carroll wants to have like the Legion of Boom 2.0. So I'm going to go with Jonathan Jones to Seattle.
Next up, we talk about Devin Singletary. I don't think he's going to be a Buffalo Bill. I think he's going to be a Detroit Lion. What about you, Isaiah?
Ooh, this is a very tough one. I got him going to Denver. I think that Denver, they had Javonte Williams last year, but he is injured and he might miss a part of next season, and they're going to need a running back. They have Latavius Murray there, but you need another running back with Latavius Murray because Latavius Murray by himself cannot just shoulder the load. So I got Devin Singletary going to the Denver Broncos. I think he will be great in Sean Payton's offense. I think he will ball out there. Also, you have his ability to not only power run, but also catch passes out of the backfield. I think will really benefit him. So I got Devin Singletary going, staying in the AFC, but going to Denver.
Next up, we will talk about.
Oh, you forgot
Drew.
Ben Loro.
What about you, Ben? Where do you have Devin Singletary going to?
It's all good. I have him going to the New York Giants. I think that the Giants, we've got him Saquon Barkley. You get another guy to help out in the running game, kind of be more as a pass catcher. I know Barkley is kind of both, but I think that he would really do well alongside Saquon.
Then we talk about Drew Lock. Where do I think Drew Lock goes? He's a free agent now. I think Drew Lock goes to the San Francisco 49ers. And I think he will back up Trey Lance or Brock Purdy. What about you, Isaiah?
So there's actually rumors that I think it's Andy Canales, the new offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers, wants him in Tampa Bay. But there's also rumors that Kyle Shanahan wants him in San Francisco as well. And I've spoken really highly of Drew Lock. I think that this kid, he's got untapped potential. He's been working in offenses that just doesn't fit his skill set and are not modernized offenses. So I really want to see him go to a team that has a coach that can, utilize his skill set and also just develop him, because I don't think he's been developed yet. So for me, I understand why the Tampa Bay connections make sense, because Canales was the quarterbacks coach for Seattle before going to Tampa Bay as their offensive coordinator. But I don't think Drew Lock would be that great of that veteran option next to Kyle Trask. Like, that doesn't make sense for him to be the veteran option. So for me, I got him going to San Fran. He might get a lot of playing time in San Fran because you have Trey Lance there. Brock Purdy might be, he's injured. He might be out for the year. Who knows if he gets Tommy John or not. He could potentially be your quarterback number 2. And if Lance struggles or he can't stay healthy, then Locke will be able to step in there and show what he could do. And why not work under a coach like Kyle Shanahan, who's always taken his quarterbacks and, always take them to great heights. So I got him going to the Niners. I think he's a perfect fit for the Niners. I think that, when he had his best moments of his career, it was under Rich Scangarello, who was under Kyle Shanahan. So he played his best ball in the Kyle Shanahan eras, or in the Kyle Shanahan offense. So I think it's a perfect fit, and I think Shanahan would unlock a lot of stuff with Drew Lock there in San Francisco. So I got him putting on the red and gold and joining the Niners.
What about you, Ben? Where do you have Drew Lock going to?
I have Drew Lock going to the Seattle Seahawks. I have him staying and being backup to Geno Smith. I think he really liked being there, and Seattle I just think is a great place where for another quarterback that's kind of more on the younger side that he can kind of follow along and learn, and kind of battle it out for the Seahawks.
Next up, we will talk about the next name we will talk about is Alexander Mattison. Where will he end up? I mean, I think Alexander Mattison will end up with the Minnesota Vikings. He'll stay there. What about you, Isaiah?
This one's another tough one. You guys ready for this? I think he ends up a Bengal. And here's why. It's because of the whole Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon nonsense that's going on right now. Who knows if they're even going to be back with the team after the serious stuff that's going on. And like what I said with I believe Juju to the Bengals as like an insurance policy. He would Madison would be an insurance policy for Joe Mixon if anything happened to him. So and also, if nothing happens, he could be your running back number 2. I believe Samaje Perine is a free agent, and so you're going to need that backup running back. And also, Madison has played in that Zach Taylor, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan offense in Minnesota, where he did his best damage. So I got him going to Cincinnati.
And what about you, Ben? Where do you have Alexander Madison going to?
I have him going to the Chicago Bears. The Bears really need some help on that running game. David Montgomery might be on the move, so why not give the chance to give Alexander Madison a chance to be the running back alongside Khalil Herbert and that Chicago Bears running scheme. So I'm going to have Madison going to the Chicago Bears.
Okay, and what about you? Next up, Isaiah, we got Robbie Gould. I think he's going to kick elsewhere. I would like to see him with the New York Jets. I think he has a good rapport with Robert Saleh. I think the Jets need a kicker, and I think he would be great in the Big Apple.
I got him going to the Bears. I think he goes to the Bears, plays for 1 or 2 years, and then retires a Chicago Bear. He's been wanting to go back home to Chicago for quite some time now, and Robbie Gould is family in Chicago. He has a great relationship with the Bears ownership, and the Bears need a kicker because I think Pinheiro is a free agent as well. So I got him going to Chicago and then ending his career in Chicago in a couple of years.
I think that's a good move. I think Robbie Gould really loves the Bears. He loves the McCaskies. I think Matt Eberflus would use him and all that. So we'll see. What about you, Ben? Where do you think Robbie Gould does?
I think he leads the Niners, but I do not have him going to the Bears. I'm going to the Chargers. Matt Gay looks like he's going to be on the move, and I think that they're going to need a new kicker. And so I think that Robbie Gould in the AFC West at SoFi, still in the West coastline, I think that'd be a great fit right there.
Next up, we will talk about Jimmy Ward. I think Jimmy Ward stays in San Francisco. What about you, Isaiah?
Sadly, I think he leaves. And get ready for this. I got him going to the Pittsburgh Steelers to pair with Minkah Fitzpatrick and form one of the best safety duels in the NFL. He wants a big contract, and the Niners just don't have a lot of money in cap space to be able to give it to him. So I think he's going to move on, and he's going to try to get the biggest contract that he could possibly get. And I think Pittsburgh, they know that they are a team that relies on their defense. They want to make their defense extra scary. So they're going to go and get Jimmy Ward to pair with Minkah Fitzpatrick. So I got him going to Pittsburgh.
What about you, Ben? Where do you have Jimmy Ward going to?
I got Jimmy Ward going to the Raiders. I think the Raiders really need some help on their secondary. And so I'm going to have him go to the defense over in Vegas.
For Taylor Rapp, I have Taylor Rapp going to a team that I think needs a safety. Now that Byron Jones is out of Miami, I have Taylor Rapp going to Miami. What about you, Isaiah?
I got him going to the Niners to replace Jimmy Ward. He's a younger, cheaper safety that can fill in for Jimmy Ward. He's a hard hitter as well. He has played in that defense that the Niners run, so that also makes sense. And the Niners have seen a lot of him in that rivalry with the Rams. And, the Niners always like to get guys that, are young, that haven't really fulfilled their potential yet, that they feel like they are young, up and coming risers that a lot of teams don't really they don't really see. So, and I think Taylor Rapp, you guys remember like Charles Omenihu and Samson Ebukam, those guys had potential. They showed potential, but they were inconsistent, but they were young and they were guys that you could get on the cheap, and Taylor Rapp fits into that mode. So I got him going to the Bay Area and going to the 49ers to replace Jimmy Ward.
What about you, Ben? Where does Taylor Rapp go to?
Yeah, I have him going to the Niners. I think that, you move on from Jimmy Ward, they're going to have to have a guy to plug back in on the defense, and I think that he'd be a great fit there.
Next up, we go to our possible trade predictions. Let's start with Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to stick to it. I predict that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a New York Jet to reunite with his former offensive coordinator in Green Bay, Nathaniel Hackett. And with this move, I don't see the Jets leapfrogging Buffalo with this. What about you, Isaiah?
The New York Jets are desperate, and desperate teams do desperate things. And it just seems like that the Packers just want to move on from Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers wants to move on, but both sides just don't want to be the first one to take that leap and say they want to move on. So I got him going to the Jets. I think all signs are pointing to that. If Rodgers wasn't interested in the Jets, why would he be talking to them? If the Packers didn't want to move on, why would they even let him talk to the New York Jets? It just seems like everything is pointing to that way, and I think we could see a Rodgers blockbuster coming in the next few days. And I'm telling you guys right now, the league is going to be shooken up in a couple of days when Aaron Rodgers lands in the Big Apple and the Jets get their starting quarterback. And I think, from what I've read, the Jets might not even give up a lot to get Aaron Rodgers, because it seems like the Jets are ready, or the Packers are ready to move on. The Jets want him bad. Rodgers is ready to move on, so they might settle for just like one first-round pick and maybe a second-round pick, which will be like a discount to get Aaron Rodgers. So, and also, the Jets basically have to get Aaron Rodgers. I said this on Kicking It with Cruz with Ben the other day. When the Jets missed out on Derek Carr, they basically signaled that, hey, we put all of our eggs into the Aaron Rodgers basket. If we don't get Aaron Rodgers, we're screwed. Derek Carr is out of the picture. Jimmy Garoppolo is probably going to go somewhere else. You're definitely not going to get Mac Jones, because there's no way Bill Belichick will ever trade with the Jets. And then, the other quarterbacks after Aaron Rodgers is not good. So you can't run it back with Zach Wilson after what you did to him. So it's Aaron Rodgers or bust for the Jets. They're going to hit the home run or the grand slam and get Aaron Rodgers, and because they're desperate. And I think that for the Jets, it's a great move for them. And I think that getting Aaron Rodgers immediately makes the Jets Super Bowl contenders.
What about you, Ben? Where do you think Aaron Rodgers goes to? I think he's a Jet.
See my color right here. It's going to be in green. It's going to be in green. It's going to be over in Broadway, where the drama is. He's a drama guy at this point in time in his career. Isaiah and Lauro, this is going to be the Russell Wilson trade of this season. The Aaron Rodgers trade that will be coming. I expect probably by the end of this week or early of next week. This is pretty much it's now or never. I thought for a little bit that maybe he'd go back to Green Bay. But at this point in time, when there's smoke, there's fire. And there are a lot of the reports as of late. I've kind of gone back and forth. I've said maybe he goes to the Raiders. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen. And really, pretty much, when you're going on a private jet, across to visit with an owner and stuff like that, something serious there. It's not just going to go over and have a little talk, because he wouldn't have retired if he was going to go all the way across. He would have already retired on the spot. So yeah, I think you can obviously too, Isaiah and Lauro, you're seeing players from the Jets. They're trying to go on via social media and say, "We want you here. We want you here." And I mean, they're basically doing like a little campaign for it to happen. I think it's going to happen. I think Woody Johnson's ready for it to happen. And the streets of Broward are going to be absolutely partied up before St. Patty's Day of next week.
Next up, we talk about Derrick Henry. I don't mean to be biased with this. I see him getting traded to the Miami Dolphins. I really think that he reunites with his college buddy Tua Tagovailoa, and I really want to see that the Alabama boys run it back together in Tua, Derrick Henry, and Jalen Waddle. What about you, Isaiah? Where does Derrick Henry go to?
Go to Ben first on this. I need to cook up a hot take real quick.
What about you, Ben? Where does Derrick Henry go to?
Man. I don't want to be a party pooper, but I think he stays. I think that he's going to stay in Tennessee. I think there'll be teams that'll ask for his services, but I think that I think he's going to stay in Tennessee. Yeah, I would love to be very hot and be very bold. I know there's going to be teams out there. I mean, maybe a team like San Fran or the Bears or the Giants. I don't know. I want to hear Isaiah on this one because I know that he has something probably spicy coming up. But I'm going to be a party pooper, and I think on this one specifically, I think he stays.
What about you, Isaiah? Where does Derrick Henry?
You guys ready for this?
Yes.
Oh no.
This is going to be the blockbuster of the century. I got Derrick Henry joining Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City because Brett Veach always seems to somehow, some way pull out a blockbuster and a magic trick out of his hat. And what are the Chiefs' biggest weakness? Their defense, yeah, it's a big weakness, but they always like to stockpile on the offensive side of the ball. And Derrick Henry, the Titans, it just seems like they want to get something back. It doesn't matter if it's a first-round pick, a second-round pick, whatever. They want to get something back for him because he's a free agent after next season. So, and they know they probably will lose him. And Kansas City's got a first-round pick. And imagine Patrick Mahomes with Derrick Henry in the backfield. Oh, my gosh. And Kansas City, like they have Pacheco, but their running back position is – it's kind of not settled right now. So it just seems like, Brett Veach always somehow, some way cooks up something magical every offseason. We all thought a couple off seasons ago that they won't be able to do anything on the offensive line. They don't have any money. And then they end up trading for Orlando Brown Jr. and they get Joe Thuney in free agency. And we're like, how did that happen? Last year, wide receiver, they traded away Tyreek Hill. They went out and got Juju Smith-Schuster. So I got him stunning the world and going and getting Derrick Henry from the Tennessee Titans, and that Chiefs team will be like Kevin Durant and the Warriors, just absolutely loaded and unstoppable, especially on the offensive side. But I can't wait to hear what Ben has to say, what Ben's hot take is for Derrick Henry.
I found a team. Take? I think that it's a team in green. Howie Roseman calls up King Henry and makes a call for him to go to Philly. He's going to team up with his old friend, A.J. Brown, over at the Eagles. Eagles love to run the football. Miles Sanders will probably be on the move. And I could really see Howie going all out to try to win a Super Bowl. And wouldn't it be any other better story when you have Jalen Hurts, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and company to potentially make that happen? So if the Titans keep him, they keep him. But if there's a team that'll go out and call for his services, I'm going to go with the Eagles to potentially have Henry team up with his old friend A.J. Brown or the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo
and also
Bills really
team up with
Jalen
Hurts, who he played with in college.
That's another thing too. See, it could really, I could really see it. I mean, that would be crazy. That could really happen the more I think about it. So we'll see how that goes.
Then we talk about Cardinals wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. I'm going to say DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a New England Patriot. He's going to not be in Arizona. I think their new number one will be Hollywood Brown. What about you, Ben?
DeAndre Hopkins has been saying, do your job, do your job. Oh, the love of music to hear. He's been saying that on record. So, Loro, he's going to be a New England Patriot. I know it's going to feel – I feel like it's going to be happening He's had love and respect. Bill Belichick has had absolute appreciation for DeAndre Hopkins. They've needed this outside type of target as a receiver for a long, long time. And I think specifically a guy like T. Higgins is going to be too much. I think that T. Higgins is going to be on the move. And Robert Kraft has been saying that the Patriots really need a receiver that could take away a defense, or a defense has to scheme on somebody. And DeAndre Hopkins might not be the same guy he used to be, but he would be a great guy for defenses to start scheming up. And I think specifically, Jacoby Myers moves on, then you have Hopkins. Then potentially go out, maybe draft a guy, whether it's Smith-Njigba from Ohio State, or a guy, from North Carolina that can have a little bit of speed. DeAndre Hopkins with Mac Jones and Bill O'Brien. I think DeAndre Hopkins and Bill O'Brien will get their relationship or something like that back together. I think that whatever it's past is past. But DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a New England Patriot.
I would love that, honestly. Bill O'Brien is going to love that, and you're going to have a lot of passing in that offense surrounding Mac Jones. What about you, Isaiah? Where does DeAndre Hopkins go to?
I got DeAndre Hopkins teaming up with Aaron Rodgers in New York, and also with Garrett Wilson as well. The Jets, they know they have to win now. Woody Johnson, I think he said a couple months ago, we want to make the playoffs. He was very angry with how the season turned out for the Jets when they collapsed down the stretch. So he knows that, hey, we got to win now. We need to make the playoffs now. Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas know that. So they're going to mortgage the future to win now. And when you have Aaron Rodgers, you do anything to help him win now. And I think it's going to be kind of like, remember what happened when Brady went to Tampa Bay, where all the stars started following and the Buccaneers started doing whatever they can to get all the players that Brady wanted? Well, DeAndre Hopkins, Aaron Rodgers, I'm pretty sure, wants DeAndre Hopkins. I'm pretty sure, he wants that top wide receiver to join him with Garrett Wilson. And it's only going to cost a second-round pick. And I don't believe the Jets are going to give up a whole lot to get Aaron Rodgers. That way you have more to save for DeAndre Hopkins. And then, man, imagine that offense with Rodgers. And then you have, Breece Hall at the running back when he comes back. He's a beast. Ooh. And then receivers, you have DeAndre Hopkins and Garrett Wilson. Oh, my gosh. And with that defense, man, oh, my gosh. Good Lord. That will be crazy. But I got him going.
The Jets have Corey Davis. He will be an option for Aaron Rodgers.
They do. But if you have DeAndre Hopkins as an option, you can't pass that up. So I got Aaron Rodgers just telling the Jets and their management, be like, hey, get me DeAndre Hopkins. He's available. I want to win now. You need to win now. Get D-Hop in Gang Green.
Next up, we'll go to you, Ben. And where do you think – well, I already went with you. We got to talk about Jalen Ramsey. I think Jalen Ramsey is going to take a pay cut with the Rams, and he'll restructure his contract there. What about you, Ben?
Ooh, I'm thinking. There's two teams I have in mind. Go to Isaiah.
What about you, Isaiah? Where does Jalen Ramsey go to?
I don't think anybody's going to trade much for that big contract that he's owed. So I would not be shocked. I'll go on record right now and say this. I won't be shocked if he gets cut, because he's making a lot of money. And I don't know any teams that want to pay that big contract for what he gets. So if he does get traded, I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones loves flashy toys. He loves guys like Jalen Ramsey, who is box office and talks a lot of trash, and, he is big time. And it just looks like Jerry Jones and Cowboys when you think about this Jalen Ramsey situation. And I think the Cowboys could get him for like a third or fourth round pick, because I think that Jalen Ramsey, he's done in Los Angeles, and he knows that the Rams are probably going to be headed towards a rebuild. There were reports the other day, Matthew Stafford, he still was feeling pain in his neck. Who knows if he's going to call it a career this this off season or not. So I think he knows that the Rams, they only have at least 1 year before they are going to a full-fledged rebuild. They're done. So I think he goes joins Dallas, and imagine him and Trayvon Diggs in that secondary. Is there anybody that's going to be able to complete any passes against that secondary? I don't think so.
What about you, Ben? Where does Jalen Ramsey go to?
I haven't gone to the Detroit Lions. I think that the Detroit Lions need some help on their defense, and for a young team, I think that Ramsey could really give them some veteran leadership, veteran presence on the defense. So I'm going to Detroit.
And now we talk about Nick Chubb. That's easy. I think he stays in Cleveland. I think you got to see what he can do with Deshaun Watson in a full year. What about you, Isaiah?
I agree. I think he stays in Cleveland. This will be like the AJ Brown trade at the draft if he gets traded. We will all be like screaming, "What?" And then we all storm off because that will be just so shocking if he ends up getting traded. I think for the Browns, they will be stupid to trade him because you need to see what he could do with Deshaun Watson. You have a running dynamic quarterback in Deshaun Watson, and you have Nick Chubb. Like, there's really not a lot of defenses that can stop that or even slow that down. So I don't think the Browns will be wise to trade him. I think that I understand why they're thinking about it, but they got to keep him in Cleveland in order to win next season. Because if they don't win, I could see a situation where Kevin Stefanski gets fired by the Cleveland Browns.
What about you, Ben? What is your thoughts on Nick Chubb here?
Yeah, I don't see him leaving. I think that the Browns have also made it publicly out there that they're not going to move him. What I do think that the Browns are trying to do, though, is they're trying to get a receiver to be alongside Amari Cooper. And there's one receiver that we have not talked about that's on the list of a guy that could be moved lower. I'm not sure if a guy in Brandon Cooks is on this list or not.
He's not, but I heard that new Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans would want to work with him, and I think they could try something out there. So anyways, we go into our top stories of the day as the Jets sent a group that included owner Woody Johnson, head coach Robert Saleh, offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett, and GM Joe Douglas down to L.A. to meet with Aaron Rodgers. You know what? I have a good feeling that it's going to happen. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a New York Jet. I'm looking forward to when my Patriots play the Jets twice a year with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Isaiah, what was your thoughts on that story?
I think it signals one thing. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to end up in Gang Green with the New York Jets because, like you mentioned, Ben, when we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, you don't fly cross country. You don't fly your head coach, your GM, your owner, and your offensive coordinator cross country if you weren't serious about getting Aaron Rodgers. And for Aaron Rodgers, it's the same thing. You don't meet with the New York Jets if you want to stay in Green Bay. And for the Packers too, you don't let Aaron Rodgers meet with the New York Jets if you wanted to keep him. It just seems like all sides want to move on. It just seems like it's headed into this direction, and the Jets are all in on Aaron Rodgers, as they should be, because they missed out on Derek Carr. Their backup plan is gone. You don't have anything else besides Aaron Rodgers. You have to get Aaron Rodgers, or this will be the biggest failure of the last 10 years. So you have to get Aaron Rodgers. And I think if Aaron Rodgers lands with the Jets, this is going to be like Tom Brady going to Tampa Bay. The Jets will immediately become Super Bowl contenders. And I think you're going to see a lot of these star players start going up to the Big Apple to want to play for the New York Jets.
And then after the Ravens placed a non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson, 5 teams, included the Falcons, Dolphins, Panthers, and Commanders, all said that they were flat out not interested. I'm going to say that where do I think Lamar Jackson ends up with those 5 teams that are not interested?
Go ahead and lower all this first. What do you think? What do you think about these 5 teams saying that they are not interested in Lamar? Do you think they're bluffing, or do you think they're for real?
Bluffing. I think they're bluffing. I just think the Falcons are the front runners for him. But I also want to see, Isaiah, how can Lamar Jackson work in the Todd Monken system?
I agree. I think that these 5 teams, or at least 4 of the 5 teams, are bluffing. I don't believe
I
any
don't
of
think
them.
Miami's going to end up with Lamar Jackson. The Dolphins are sticking with
no.
Tua.
But I think the Falcons are bluffing. I don't think the Falcons, I don't believe the Falcons when they say that they're not interested in getting Lamar Jackson. Like, there's no way with Lamar Jackson out there that you're going to want Desmond Ridder over Lamar Jackson. There's no way. You'd be crazy to do that. Your GM should be fired if that's the case. I think that for Lamar Jackson, there's going to be teams that are interested and give him that big contract that he wants. I don't think he's back in Baltimore because for the Ravens, they screwed up if they want to get Lamar Jackson back.
Let me tell you, if Lamar Jackson is not a Raven, I could see Tyler Huntley being the starter. John Harbaugh loves Tyler Huntley.
He could, but I also do see that Stetson Bennett will be a Raven no matter what. Whether it's the starter or whether it's the backup to start the season, he's going to be a Raven because Todd Monken has a great relationship with him. Todd Monken made him into a star quarterback, and he fits Todd Monken's offense so well, and Lamar doesn't. And I think that for Lamar, he just doesn't fit. And if he comes back to the Ravens, he's not going to have success there because Todd Monken wants to throw the football. Lamar wants to run. So it makes no sense for Lamar to come back. I think Lamar is going to be gone. And I think that the Falcons are going to get him like we predicted earlier. Don't rule out the Raiders because, Mark Davis likes shiny toys as well. And don't rule out the Jets if they miss out on Aaron Rodgers.
Next up here on our list, we talk about Daniel Jones signing a 4-year, $160 million deal. I saw on social media that people were like, why is Daniel Jones worth that money? He's not. I'm like, I think that's a fair deal. I think Daniel Jones earned it.
First of all, congratulations to Daniel Jones. I always like to see guys getting paid, and I'm so happy that that Daniel Jones ended up getting paid by the New York Giants. He had a great year last year. 15 passes, 8 interceptions. It was a great year for Daniel Jones, but the thing is with quarterbacks, it's very tough because right now the growing rate for quarterbacks is like 40 to 50 million. So a lot of these like middle of the pack quarterbacks are going to end up getting a lot of money. And for Daniel Jones, I'm happy he didn't get 45 to 48 because that would be truly crazy. But I think like 40 million, like it's a big number. But I think Daniel Jones, he still hasn't hit the ceiling yet. And I think that Brian Daboll, another year in his offense, I think he'll get better and better and better and better. And I think Brian Daboll will be able to get more out of Daniel Jones. So I like this deal for the Giants. I am kind of sad, Laurel, that because I kind of wanted Daniel Jones in San Francisco, even though that might have been a pipe dream. But yeah, I'm very happy that Daniel Jones got his money, and I hope that he balls out for the Giants next season.
All right, and then we talk about bold predictions for our favorite teams. For my Patriots, I think that what my bold prediction for my Patriots is, I honestly want DeAndre Hopkins. I just think that he would help with our receiving core. I think that we need to move on from Nelson Aguilar. I do think that the Patriots need to get at least 1 or 2 veteran receivers to help with the Bill O'Brien offense that we're implementing. And then I do think that Bill O'Brien's going to utilize Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith into that offense very well. And then I also want to move on from Trent Brown. I also think that I have the Patriots in my mock draft. I have them getting a offensive tackle in the draft, and that would be Alabama's Tyler Steen.
Well, My bold prediction. Well, Leroy, if you have any more bold predictions for the Patriots, go ahead and give it to our audience.
Yeah, that's pretty much my only bold prediction I have.
Oh, okay. So for me, I already said a couple of like the earlier in the show when we were talking about each free agent. You know, I think the Niners will sign Drew Lock to back up either Brock Purdy or Trey Lance. I think that Taylor Rapp will sign with the Niners to replace Jimmy Ward, and I think that the 49ers will get Bobby Wagner to shore up their linebacking corps. But here is the bombshell bold prediction that I have for you, Loro, and I told you, Ben, about when you exited the show. Loro, you ready for this?
Yeah, sir.
I think Deebo Samuel gets traded.
Why do you think he gets traded?
Here's why. Because after the deal that he signed, it seemed like he checked out. It seemed like he wasn't the same guy. And he was injury prone last year. And you know, the Niners have to pay Brandon Ayuk. They're not going to have enough money to be able to pay Brandon Ayuk and Nick Bosa and also keep Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. So you're going to have to keep one of them. And Brandon Ayuk, I think, is the better route runner than Deebo Samuel. And he hasn't gotten injured a lot in his career. So he is the guy that I would be willing to shell out the money for in order for you to keep him long term. So I think the Niners trade Deebo this offseason. I could see your Patriots trying to get him. I could see, you know, other teams like Carolina maybe trying to get him. But Deebo Samuel will be traded this offseason, and I think the Niners will get a first-round pick back, and they're going to sign Brandon Ayuk to a big-time contract extension. And even, you know, losing Deebo is going to hurt the offense. But I think the Niners will get a guy like Adam Thielen or, you know, someone that's going to get cut to replace Deebo. And then they're going to use their first-round pick to either draft a top pass rusher or they're going to use their first-round pick to draft a guy to replace Deebo. Because remember we said last year on one of these programs that wide receiver, you could easily replace them. You could get a young guy, you know, in the draft, and you can easily replace them, and they'll come cheap. So I think Deebo gets traded. He's going to get traded for a first-round pick, and the Niners sign Adam Thielen to replace him and also draft a young guy to replace Deebo Samuel and to groom him to be Deebo's replacement.
Anyways, it's been a great show here, Isaiah. We have final thoughts to get to off Sports Weekly sometime next week. What is your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is it was a great show. Also, shout out to Ben. He says also 4 wideouts to watch for to move on. If they move on, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Adam Thielen, Brandon Cooks. I could see Brandon Cooks in San Francisco, Loro, if the Niners do trade Deebo. And then Ben says, OMG, Deebo. Yeah, that's right. I said that, Ben. Deebo Samuel, I'm predicting will be traded by the Niners this offseason. But it was a great show. Looking forward to NFL free agency, man. It's going to be crazy in the next couple of days or on Monday when free agency starts. We might even do a free agency special either Monday or Tuesday to talk about the big time signings that go on. So stay tuned for that. But great show. And I know this is a football show, but I got to bring this up. Loro, how about our Lakers, man? How about our Lakers jumping from 13 to 9th, man? And we're still going to start moving up and up. I think we're only like a game back of the Clippers for the 8th seed. We're only 2 games back of the 5th seed. Man, we could move up to the 5th seed when it's all said and done. And like I said on one of our shows that we did, all we need to do is just get into the playoffs. Get into the playoffs. You get LeBron James back. Everybody will be healthy by then. And I think that this Lakers team can definitely make a run for the championship this season.
I think they can. You talk about it, but, you know, I think that if teams the Lakers need to get on a win streak, and I think they do. And they have Toronto on Friday, and we will see if they can continue the momentum heading into Friday's matchup. For Isaiah, Loro signing off for now. Everybody, enjoy your night.
Yeah. I ain't choose the game chose me. I'm a champion, I need some trophies. I can drive the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it deep. I ain't choose the game, game chose me. I'm a champion, I need some trophies. I can drive the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it deep.
I got what it take to be a champ. You know bars life, you should come and join